I think from episode 1, I put a move on her. We were blindfolded, clothes on, obviously, right at the beginning. And then I think she didn't know that I had kissed her.
Nicolandria, juicy tea. I really don't have much insight on this, but from the beginning, Olandria kissed Nick, like the very, very first night. And Nick expressed to me that he wanted to get to know her, and Olandria expressed to me that she wanted to get to know him. And then I expressed to Olandria that I wanted to get to know Taylor. Like, it was all just this whole thing. Like, we were all going to get to know each other's people.
Olandria just dropped something on social media that has completely flipped the Nicolandria narrative on its head. And I'm talking about changing everything we thought we knew about their relationship timeline. People have been doubting Nick and Olandria since they got together, calling it fake, saying producers pushed them together at the last minute to avoid getting dumped from the villa. Well, Olandria just posted receipts from week 1 that prove all of those doubters completely wrong, and honestly, the timing of this revelation is wild because it's making everyone go back and re-examine everything we saw on the show. Let me break down exactly what happened and why this is such a big deal. Olandria posted her 2025 wrap on Instagram. You know, the typical end-of-year thing where people post their favorite moments, talk about their journey, all of that. She included a bunch of pictures and videos from inside the villa and post-villa life. Most of it was standard stuff, nothing too shocking. But then people noticed these black and white photos of her and Nick, and they looked really intimate. Like, not just friendly cast member photos, but the kind of pictures you take when you're feeling someone. At first, nobody knew when these were taken because Olandria didn't specify in her caption. She just talked about being grateful for 2025, her accomplishments, her growth, the usual reflection stuff. Now here's where it gets interesting. Someone on Twitter reposted those black and white pictures and basically asked, when were these even taken? Because if you watched the show, we didn't see Nick and Olandria having moments like this early on. We saw them couple up toward the end, and it felt sudden to a lot of viewers. So people were genuinely confused about the timeline of these photos, and then Olandria herself responded to that tweet and said these pictures were taken during week 1 of them being in the villa.
Nicolandria, juicy tea. I really don't have much insight on this, but from the beginning, Olandria kissed Nick, like the very, very first night. And Nick expressed to me that he wanted to get to know her, and Olandria expressed to me that she wanted to get to know him. And then I expressed to Olandria that I wanted to get to know Taylor. Like, it was all just this whole thing. Like, we were all going to get to know each other's people, you know? But constantly, it was always a thing during challenges or games or anything and everything that Nick and Olandria would kind of gravitate towards each other, like, some way. And I encouraged it, honestly. I really did.
Ooh,
and I don't know. I can see that maybe it was kind of awkward or felt a little forced, referring to this last episode. I didn't watch the previous one where they actually went on their date, but I can understand how when they say it felt a little awkward between them, like, I can see that because they really just have this firm foundation of friendship before all else. And for some relationships, like, that doesn't work. And full well knowing that their strongest connection was still in that villa, that's a little hard to go all in on a new connection. I don't know if any of that just made sense, but
yeah.
Honestly, Nick and Olandria have expressed interest in each other since day 1. You know, Olandria kissed both Taylor and Nick the very first night, and Nick expressed to me that he wanted to get to know her, and she also expressed to me that she wanted to get to know him, and I encouraged it. And I don't know, like, I think that they are both lovely people, and I haven't seen their on-screen chemistry since, but I know that people are raving for them, and
like crazy.
Honestly, like, I don't know. I know that they had a really, really firm foundation of friendship, and every relationship needs that to thrive, truly. And maybe that could have been, like, I know Olandria specifically is a slow burner, and that could work in her favor of the relationship. And I just feel like Nick is all about her. Like, I don't know. Like, it seems like the clips that I've seen, and it seems genuine, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just never say never.
Week 1. Let that sink in. That means while we were watching Nick with other girls and Olandria with Taylor and other connections, they were apparently having these private moments that nobody knew about. The reaction to this information has been absolutely insane. People are saying Nick and Olandria played everyone, that they had this whole thing brewing under the surface and nobody caught on. Others are going after production, saying they deliberately hid this storyline and didn't give us the full picture of what was happening in the villa. And honestly, that's a fair criticism because if these photos exist from week 1, if there were real moments happening between them that early, why didn't we see any of it? Production chooses what makes the final cut. And clearly, they decided not to show us whatever was developing between Nick and Olandria in those early days. Now, we already knew that Nick was interested in Olandria from the beginning because during the blindfold challenge on literally the first night, he kissed her. That was shown on the show. We saw that happen.
I think from episode 1, I put a move on her. We were blindfolded, clothes on, obviously, right at the beginning. And then I think she didn't know that I had kissed her. And then as the weeks went on, I never told her. And then, one day the stars were aligning out in Fiji, and I made the move, and that kind of changed everything.
So she didn't know she was blindfolded or something?
Yeah, she was blindfolded, never told her.
And you ain't never told her that it was you?
I kept it close. But I had a crush on her the whole time.
The whole time. Was there any other girl in the run besides Olandria?
I mean, you have to go through trials and tribulations to get to the tree at the bottom of the cereal box, you know what I mean?
But what the public didn't know was that apparently there were continued moments between them, enough moments that they were taking intimate black and white photos together in week 1. That changes the whole story. It means this wasn't some last-minute thing to avoid being dumped. It means there was actually a foundation there from the start that just wasn't explored publicly. The obvious question everyone's asking now is, if they were into each other from day 1, why didn't they pursue it earlier? Why did they both couple up with other people? Why did we have to watch all these other connections when apparently the real connection was right there the whole time? Well, Nick recently did a podcast interview where he actually addressed this, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But first, I want to talk about something else that's coming back into focus now that we have this new information. Bella's post-villa interviews are suddenly being re-examined, and people are realizing she was telling us this the whole time. Bella was in the villa with them from the beginning, and in multiple interviews after she left, she talked about how Nick and Olandria were always into each other from day 1. At the time, I think people weren't really paying attention to what she was saying because there was so much other drama happening, so many other storylines to follow. But if you go back and listen to what Bella said, she was literally giving us all the tea about Nicolandria before Nicolandria was even officially a thing. In one interview, Bella said that Olandria kissed Nick on the very first night, and that Nick told Bella he wanted to get to know Olandria. She also said Olandria expressed to her that she wanted to get to know Nick, so we had both of them telling Bella they were interested in each other from the jump. Bella went on to say that during challenges, games, literally anything that happened in the villa, Nick and Olandria would gravitate toward each other somehow. She said she encouraged it, that she really did push them to explore that connection. But Bella also mentioned that it felt a little awkward between them at times, maybe a little forced, and she thought that was because they had built such a strong friendship foundation first. In another interview, Bella got even more specific. She said Nick and Olandria expressed interest in each other since day 1, that Olandria kissed both Taylor and Nick on the first night, and that Nick directly told Bella he wanted to get to know Olandria. Bella said she encouraged it because she thought they were both lovely people, and she acknowledged that they had a really firm friendship foundation, which every relationship needs to thrive. She also pointed out that Olandria is a slow burner, which makes total sense when you think about how their relationship actually developed on screen. Bella said it seemed like Nick was all about Olandria, that the clips she had seen looked genuine, and that people should never say never about their relationship. Looking back at Bella's interviews now with this new context from Olandria's week 1 photos, everything she said makes so much more sense. She wasn't just speculating or trying to create a storyline. She was literally in the villa, watching this connection develop in real time, and she was trying to tell us about it. But because we didn't see it on the show, I think a lot of people dismissed what she was saying or didn't fully understand the depth of what she was describing. The comments under Olandria's post and the discussions happening on Twitter are really revealing how people feel about all of this. One person said they always saw a little chemistry there, that people need to remember Nick kissed Olandria at the beginning during the blind kissing challenge, and that he even put her feet in his mouth during a game. Their point was, you don't do that stuff with just anyone. Another person mentioned that Olandria picked Nick as one of her first choices early on, and they blamed the producers for focusing on the wrong things. They said production really failed this season, that it was evident from day one if you were paying attention to the small moments. Other people are frustrated that Olandria was so focused on how other people felt, instead of putting herself first from the beginning. The sentiment is that if she had just gone for what she wanted from day one, we could have watched this whole beautiful love story unfold, instead of watching her in situations that clearly weren't her endgame. But everything worked out in the end, and I guess that's what matters. Some people are even saying this relationship was deliberately blocked by production because they wanted Olandria and Taylor to be the main black couple for the first few weeks, and having Olandria explore things with Nick would have disrupted that narrative. Whether or not you believe production interference was a factor, what we know for sure is that Nick never failed to remind viewers about his feelings for Olandria throughout the season. Even when he was coupled up with other people, even when Olandria was with Taylor, Nick would make comments or have moments that showed Olandria was on his mind. We saw glimpses of it, but we didn't understand the full picture because we didn't know about these week 1 moments and photos. So let's get to Nick's explanation. In this recent podcast interview, Nick was asked about his relationship with Olandria and when things really started between them. He said that from episode 1, he put a move on her during the blindfold challenge. They were blindfolded, clothes on obviously, right at the beginning of the season. And here's the kicker. He said Olandria didn't know it was him who kissed her. She was blindfolded, and Nick never told her it was him. He kept that secret, held it close to his chest. But he admitted he had a crush on her the whole time, from the very beginning all the way through. The interviewer asked if he was interested in any other girl besides Olandria, and Nick gave this interesting response. He said you have to go through trials and tribulations to get to the treat at the bottom of the cereal box. What he's basically saying is that they both had to explore other connections, go through their respective journeys, deal with drama and heartbreak and confusion, before they could finally come together and realize what they had. In Fiji, the stars aligned. He made his move, told her it was him who kissed her that first night, and everything changed from there. That's actually kind of romantic when you think about it. He carried this secret crush the entire time, watched her with other people, dealt with his own situations, and waited for the right moment. When that moment finally came, he didn't hesitate. And apparently, it was exactly what they both needed, because here they are now, together, proving all the doubters wrong. What this whole revelation does is reframe their entire story. This wasn't a convenient last-minute coupling to stay in the villa. This wasn't producers forcing two people together for drama. This was a slow burn that started on night 1 and took weeks to finally catch fire. We just didn't get to see the kindling. We only saw the flames at the end, and without context, it looked sudden. But now we know better. Now we know there were week 1 photos, conversations with Bella about mutual interest, a secret blindfold kiss that Nick never revealed, and consistent gravitation toward each other during challenges and games. Production made a choice not to show us this storyline as it was developing, and that's why so many people called the relationship fake or forced. We didn't have the information we needed to understand what we were watching. If those week 1 photos had been included in the show, if we had seen more of their early interactions, if production had decided to tell the full story, the audience reception would have been completely different. People would have been rooting for Nicolandria from the beginning, instead of questioning them at the end. The bigger conversation here is about how reality TV editing shapes our perception of what's real and what's not. We trust that we're seeing the full story, or at least enough of the story to understand what's happening. But clearly, major pieces were left out of the Nicolandria narrative. And it wasn't just small moments. These were foundational pieces, week 1 pieces, that would have completely changed how we viewed both Nick and Olandria throughout the entire season. It makes you wonder what else didn't make the cut. What other storylines were happening behind the scenes that we have no idea about. For Nick and Olandria, this revelation is vindication. Everyone who said their relationship wasn't real, everyone who accused them of playing the game, everyone who doubted their connection, now has to reckon with the fact that they were wrong. The receipts are there. The week 1 photos exist. Bella confirmed their mutual interest from the start. Nick admits to having a crush the whole time. This was real from the beginning. We just weren't allowed to see it. As for what's next for them, they seem solid. They're posting each other, defending their relationship, and now they're providing evidence that backs up their story. The foundation was always there, even if it was hidden. The friendship was real, the chemistry was real, the slow burn was real. And now that everything's out in the open, they don't have to keep explaining themselves. The truth speaks for itself. What do you think about these week 1 photos and everything Bella said in those interviews? Do you believe production deliberately hid the Nicolandria storyline, or do you think they just didn't realize how important it would become? And knowing what we know now, does it change how you view their relationship? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear what you all think about this major plot twist. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates on this story or any other reality TV drama. This Nicolandria situation clearly has more layers than we realized, and something tells me we're going to keep learning new things as time goes on.